14 years. That's how long I thought I had a marriage, a family, a partner who had my back. Jake and I met in college in Albuquerque, young and reckless, laughing over cheap beers at some dive bar. Hufu. He was charming, a little rough around the edges, but his smile could light up a room. We got married right after graduation, full of dreams about our future. Our daughter Lily came along 9 months later, our little wedding night miracle, or so I thought. Life wasn't perfect, but it was ours. A small house in Silver City, New Mexico, a used car dealership Jake ran, and me working part-time at the university bookstore, raising Lily, keeping our little world spinning. I thought we were solid. I thought we were us. But over the last year, things started to change. Jake got distant. He'd stay late at the dealership, come home quiet, barely touching the dinner I'd made. I'd ask what was wrong, and he'd just shrug, say, "Long day, Em." I tried to chalk it up to stress. Running a business isn't easy, right? But his words got sharper, our fights got uglier. He'd snap at me over nothing, and I started firing back. I didn't know how to stop the spiral. I'd lie awake at night, wondering what I was doing wrong, why the man who used to look at me like I was his whole world suddenly couldn't stand to be in the same room. Then, 4 weeks ago, everything shattered. I was at a diner, grabbing a coffee after a shift at the bookstore. I was in a booth, scrolling through my phone, when I overheard two guys talking behind me. One of them said something about the guy's wife and clueless. My ears perked up. Something about the tone felt off. Then I heard a voice I knew too well. Mike, Jake's best friend since high school, the guy who stood next to him at our wedding, laughing like it was nothing. "Yeah, we hook up at least twice a month. Jake's got no idea. Dumb as a rock." My heart stopped. I swear the world went silent. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move. Mike was talking about me, my husband's best friend, the guy who fixed our cars, who came over for barbecues, who Lily called Uncle Mike. My hands shook as I grabbed my bag and slipped out of the diner, praying they didn't see me. I felt like I was going to throw up. I drove home in a daze, my mind screaming. Was it true? Was Mike just bragging, trying to sound like a big man, or was Jake really? I couldn't even finish the thought. When I got home, Jake was his usual distant self, barely looking up from his phone. Lily was in her room, probably texting her friends. Everything looked so normal, but it felt like the ground was crumbling beneath me. That night, after Jake fell asleep, I grabbed his phone. I know, it's not my proudest moment, but I had to know. His password was Lily's birthday, same as mine. I scrolled through his texts, emails, everything. Nothing from Mike, but there were a few messages that didn't sit right, vague, flirty vibes from some woman named Sarah. I didn't know any Sarah. My stomach twisted, but I told myself it wasn't enough to prove anything. Maybe Mike was just talking trash. Maybe I was paranoid, but I couldn't sleep. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, my heart pounding. By 2:43 a.m., I was a wreck, replaying every moment of the last year, every cold shoulder, every fight. Something was wrong. I could feel it in my bones. The next day, I couldn't look at Jake without feeling sick. He went to the dealership, cracking some dumb joke about my coffee habit as he left. I forced a smile, but inside, I was screaming. I needed proof. I couldn't just confront him. He'd deny it, make me feel crazy. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I downloaded a tracking app on his phone while he was in the shower. I felt like a criminal, but I had to know where he was going, who he was with. For a week, I watched his every move. The app showed him at the dealership, the gym, the usual places. Nothing weird. I started to think maybe I was wrong. Maybe Mike was just a liar. But then Saturday night, I checked his phone again while he slept. I don't know what I was looking for, closure, I guess. I entered Lily's birthday, opened his messages, and there it was, a text from Sarah. No words, just a time and place. Motel 6, 8 p.m. My heart dropped into my stomach. I checked the date. It was from 2 days ago. The app showed he'd been at that motel for 3 hours that night. I sat there, holding his phone, my whole body shaking. I wanted to scream, to throw the phone at his head, to wake him up and demand answers. But I didn't. I couldn't. I just sat there, crying silently until I couldn't anymore. I put his phone back and went downstairs, pouring myself a glass of wine to stop the shaking. That's when it hit me. Lily's birthday. Her birth, it was 9 months after our wedding. We'd always called her our wedding night baby, but now this sick, horrible thought crept in. What if she wasn't Jake's? What if... I couldn't even finish the thought. The next morning, I couldn't look at him. He noticed, asked what was wrong. I lied, said I was just tired. I had to know the truth about Lily. It felt like betraying her, but I needed answers. I took a Q-tip and gently swabbed her cheek while she slept. She didn't even stir. I did the same to myself, sealed them in plastic bags, and drove to the university's science department. I handed them over to a professor I knew from the bookstore, offering a discount at Jake's dealership to sweeten the deal. He didn't ask questions, just promised results in a few days. Those days were torture. I went through the motions: work, dinner, pretending everything was fine. Jake tried to be nice one night, suggested we go out to eat. I wanted to say no, but Lily begged, so we went. I brought up Mike casually, watching Jake's face. He tensed, changed the subject fast. My heart sank deeper. Wednesday night, the professor called. His voice was heavy. "Emily, the samples? They're not related." I felt the air leave my lungs. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me, and thanked him. When he came by the dealership the next day to talk about a car, his eyes said everything. I tried to focus on his questions about a Mazda Miata, but my mind was screaming. Lily wasn't mine. Jake had betrayed me from the start. I drove around Silver City for hours, trying to process it. My daughter, the little girl I'd raised, loved, fought for through a terrifying pregnancy, wasn't mine. Jake had been with someone else, maybe even on our wedding day. The thought made me sick. I called my lawyer, set up a meeting. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I knew I couldn't stay. That night, I told Jake I was leaving. He thought I was bluffing, threw my words back at me. "Fine, don't come back." I looked at him, the man I'd loved for 14 years, and felt nothing but rage and heartbreak. I didn't yell, I didn't cry, I just said, "I mean it this time, Jake." He didn't believe me, but I was done. I packed a bag, told Lily I'd be back soon, and drove to Albuquerque. I needed space, time to think. I checked into a Best Western, stared at the ceiling, and let the truth sink in. Jake's affair, Lily's paternity, it was all too much. I thought about every moment of our marriage, every fight, every laugh. Was any of it real? Had I been a fool from the start? The next day, I bought a red Mazda Miata. It was impulsive, but I needed something to feel alive again. Driving back to Silver City, the wind in my hair, I felt a spark of freedom. But when I pulled into the driveway, Jake and Lily were outside, staring. Jake smirked, said, "What's with the sports car, Em? Midlife crisis?" Lily laughed, said she'd never be caught dead in it. Their words cut deeper than they could know. I drove off, tears burning my eyes, and didn't look back. Over the next 2 weeks, I planned my exit. I moved into an apartment, sold the dealership to a friend, Anna, who'd always had my back. I didn't tell Jake. I didn't tell anyone. I just left. When Jake found out, he called, begging me to come back, saying Lily needed me. I laughed, bitter and broken. "Lily's not even mine, Jake. You made sure of that." He went silent. I hung up. The divorce was brutal. Jake fought for the house, but it was in my name, bought before we married. I sold it, split the money, and walked away. He and his mistress, some woman named Sarah, could have each other. I heard he's working at a gas station now, barely scraping by. I don't care. Lily, that's the hardest part. I still love her, but it's complicated. She's with Jake, calls him dad, doesn't know the truth. Maybe one day I'll tell her, maybe not. I'm in Santa Fe now, starting over. The Miata's my only companion, and I drive it everywhere, chasing freedom I never knew I needed. I'm not okay, not yet, but I'm learning to live with the betrayal, the heartbreak, the truth. I trusted the wrong people, loved too hard, and paid the price. But I'm not done, not by a long shot. So that's my story. It's not pretty, but it's mine. Thanks for listening.